Friends, welcome back to the show. I wanted to take a few moments and speak no script, and we'll see where it goes. I just wanted to give a sincere thank you to each and every one of you that listens to the show. I know you could be using that time to do anything else, and I'm very conscious and protective of that time, and I'm always looking for ways to add more value through things like production, as well as through myself as a podcast host. And I'm at the point where I feel like I'm just getting started. I promise to continue to work each and every week to add more value and get you guys more return on that time. And my only ask is that you take a moment to go ahead and hit the follow or subscribe button that's right here on this app. It helps tremendously in allowing more people to find the show. And in turn, that allows me to get the guests that you guys want me to speak to. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the Chase Merrill podcast. There was the Leadville 100 mountain bike over last weekend. How was that?
It was really fun. I mean, it was fun until my bike started breaking down on me. But yeah, that bike race is awesome. So it's so cool to be at a start line with, like over 1,000 people who have been training for something for so long and then pushing out on their bikes and struggling together. But yeah, my spokes started to break a fourth of the way into the race. And then once one kind of breaks, the wheel gets compromised. And then once others started popping, I had to unfortunately stop around mile 59.
Oh, that's brutal, man. But that wasn't your first time doing it, right? You've done it before.
Oh, yeah, I did it last year. And so this was kind of like a bonus year for me. I won a gold coin at the race last year. So I got like a preferred entry into this year. Yeah. So I was like, cool, I'll take that. And then next year, we're going to really run them all back. So next year will be a big Leadville year.
Okay, so Leadville's known mainly for the running, the level 100 in terms of the running. I didn't even know about it. It had a biking course until I was talking to Eric Hinman the other day. So I had no idea, but there's like the Leadville 100 bike and run, and then there's like a 50 miler of each, right? And then is there like a 5K of each or?
Yep. So I'll give you the little Leadville spiel,
please.
Basically, Leadville was a really popular mining town in the 80s, and then the mine went under. And so this guy, Ken Kubler, wanted to figure out, our town, everyone's out of jobs. What are we going to do to survive? Because it's up. I mean, the town's over 10,000 feet. It's like the highest town in the U.S. And so the Western states, the run race just started. And he was like, we have this beautiful location. We can maybe use tourism to get people to come here. Let's organize a race in Leadville. And so did the run race, I think 41 years ago or 42 years ago, actually. And then the bike race was 10 years later. And so the bike race is almost bigger, I think, than the run race if you're into mountain biking. It's touted as like the highest, hardest one-day mountain bike race in the U.S.
And then it is a 5K 50.
Sorry, yeah. So then like 15 years ago or so, Lifetime Fitness bought the race series, and they wanted to really make it a big thing. So I'm not sure if they had these races before, but there's a trail marathon in June. Then there's a 50-mile weekend. I think there's also a 15-mile bike and run race that same weekend. And then later is the 100-mile bike race. The next day is a 10K, which is the shortest race. And then, I mean, I guess there's a kids mile race too. So there's that. And then there's the 100-mile run, the following one.
And talk to me about Leadville Man. Is that a thing?
Yep. Lead Man or the Lead Challenge.
Yeah.
So, in order to do that, you basically have to do all the races. So you got to do the trail marathon. You get to pick one of the 50s. Or you could do them both. I tried to do last year and I did them both, which was tough, like back to back.
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday, 50-mile races. And then you do the 200s plus the 10K. So that time period's the hardest because on Saturday you ride the 100-mile bike. Sunday you get up, you struggle through a 10K, and then you have 5 days until you got to run the 100.
Jeez. So which is the hardest, the 100-mile bike or the run?
Run for sure.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, hands down, the run is definitely the hardest. It's the longest. It's like over doubled time of the bike. the bike is super fun. It's hard, definitely hard. And there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong that's out of your control, which is kind of scary when you're going for a lead challenge because, your whole challenge would be over if you don't finish one of those races. You could still
Mhm.
complete, you can still do the other ones, but you're not official lead man. Um, but yeah, the run is definitely the hardest.
Do you still have to get like an invite for all of these?
No, so you can sign up in the beginning. I think like in a few months here when the lottery opens, and
Mhm.
you can sign up for a lead challenge. And so you have to do all of them. You can't like pay for the lead challenge and then just do the 100 milers. You got
Mhm.
to do each race. Um, but it's easier to get into than just the 100-mile races.
How many? Because you said there was like 1,000 people at the start line for the bike. Is there that many for the run as well, or is that one?
I think the run was like 850 people. The bike was 1,500. I don't know. I saw some tags in the 2000s, but I can't imagine there being 2,000 people. Um, but I think it's probably around 1,500.
And this is what supports that town now.
A big part of it, yeah. So, like people now know about
Mhm.
Leadville and they think, oh, yeah, Leadville, Colorado, the run race. And so in the summertime, that is, though, especially like those weeks, that town is just pumped full of people. Because think about if you have a 100-mile run, you're probably not coming by yourself and you're
Mm-mm.
probably not just coming for one day. And so you might go up a few days before, you might go up a month before. So stay in a hotel, rent Airbnb, obviously eating food, doing stuff in the local community, um, which is great. And I've run and rode for the Leadville Trail Foundation a few times, which is an organization that raises money for the kids of Leadville. So they give $2,000 high school scholarship to everyone that graduates out of Leadville High School, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Was the Leadville series were they your first ultra marathons, or did you do any before that?
So I got like entranced with Leadville, and then maybe I started running because yeah, Eric's one of my good buddies, Eric
Mhm.
Hinman, and we've been training together for like 7 or 8 years. And in the beginning, he was very aerobic focused,
Mhm.
was strength focused, and he was always telling me, "Man, you got to do some zone two, you got the maffetone method." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know, maybe." And then 2.5, 3 years ago, I was like, okay, let's try this out. I told myself like 3 months, I'm going to give myself to just find my aerobic threshold and just run under that. And my first zone 2 mile was a 16-minute mile. And so I was really motivated to get that down. And
Yeah.
so after 3 months, I was like, this isn't so bad. I can kind of like run every day. And because I wasn't beating myself up, I wasn't going that fast, obviously. And then, eventually got down. But from then I was hooked. I was like, okay, cool. What can I do with this fitness? Oh, maybe I'll try to sign up for Leadville. And so I did a few ultras before that, a couple 50Ks, 50 milers. And then in 2023, Leadville 100 was my first 100-mile attempt.
Attempt.
Yes. Yeah, I was kind of upset. I was so nervous for that race for the second half because the longest I had ever run was 100K,
Mhm.
is 62 miles in Zion, and that felt great. And I spent time in Leadville training, doing Hope Pass, doing all the stuff. But everyone was telling me not to go out too fast, and I'm not a fast runner. I have a lot of durability, but I'm not super speedy, unless it's a very short distance. But uh, I basically missed the time cutoff at mile 62. And so I didn't give myself enough time on those huge mountain passes to be able to
Mm.
get back in time to hit the cutoff, which is part of what makes Leadville so challenging is there's these strict cutoffs that you have to hit. So you got to be moving. You can't really like walk it in the whole time.
Your first ultra that you did, how did that go? Was that a 50K, your first ultra?
My first ultra I ever did was maybe 6 years ago. But I didn't do any really running training for that. I didn't know about aerobic threshold
Mhm.
at all. Just was thought like run. And so that was brutal. That was a Bryce Canyon 50 miler. And my heart rate was probably at 170 2 minutes into the race, and in a lot of pain during that race.
Yeah.
So that was my first one, and after that, I almost said to myself, like, never again. I'm
Uh-huh.
good on that. Um, and then I did the rim to rim in the Grand
Mm.
Canyon a couple times. You know, it's ultra distance, but not official race.
Mhm.
But then after I did those 3 months of dedicated training, I was like, let me put some goal on the calendar, and I actually did 50Ks back to back weekends, um, which was great. Yeah, it was fun to just practice putting yourself out there again on the start line
Yeah.
and going
So
for it.
I'm training for my first Ironman 70.3, so like a half Ironman, September 7th. And then after that, I think my sister and I are going to do a 50 miler, the Pony Express Ultra in
Oh,
Utah.
cool.
Um, so that'll be my first by far. I think the farthest I probably ran is like 13 miles. So
Mhm.
I'm doing for like this training, I'm accumulating like 30 or 40 mile weeks.
Mhm.
So I'm getting volume. Uh, but what should I be doing maybe after this Ironman training to help succeed or set myself up for success?
I think like getting clear on what your goal is for
Yeah.
the race and like why you're doing it, what would be a good outcome for you, and then kind of working backwards, reverse engineering that. But you know, it's not rocket science. Like you need to spend a ton of time on your feet, stay moving in a low heart rate zone, adding in a few tempo runs, which you're probably doing now for,
Mhm.
you know, your Ironman. You're going to be running a lot faster than you're running the 50 miler, and then practicing fueling while you're running. That's something that on these ultra distances, they're almost like, I call them like 100K buffet or 100 mile buffet, because you just need to be eating a lot of calories. And the people that are really great can eat and digest and use that energy to propel them forward.
What are some things you're eating? Are you doing like gels or are you doing more like candy and like PB and J's?
So I've tried a bunch of stuff, all of those that you just mentioned, and what I actually really love is this product. I'm not affiliated with these guys, but I love this thing from Never Second called C90. It's a
Okay.
90-gram carb drink mix, and so it's got 200 milligrams of sodium. It's just so easy to digest, like the way that they mix the
Mhm.
sugars together. Um, doesn't bother my stomach at all. So I try to drink at least one of those every hour during anything over 2 hours.
Okay. And so are you like avoiding or not eating any kind of solid foods on these longer runs or?
It depends. Like I will definitely have solid foods. And if I'm doing 100 mile race, I'll probably eat some solid foods earlier in the day. And then I'll transition to the C90s later on. But it's kind of tough to know what you're gonna want after 12 miles of running or 12 hours of running. And
Mm-hmm.
so having a few options, because you come up to an aid station or your crew and a peanut butter and jelly might look amazing, Rice Krispie treat might look amazing,
Mm-hmm.
quesadilla, like, you know, chicken soup is a really nice one,
Okay. Yeah.
ramen, balls.
The Pony Express Ultra in Utah, I guess, is very isolated. Like the trail, it's you have to have your own crew. They don't do any kind of aid stations or anything like that, and you're required to have a crew to do it because it is so isolated, and they just need somebody to check up on you because they won't be doing it. And so yeah, I'm trying to figure out like this will be my sister and I's and our crew's first kind of ultra distance kind of thing. So it'll be definitely interesting to see how we can pit crew that and set that up. So I'm really looking forward to that. When you did do your ultras, talk to me about mindset. Was there like anywhere where you were like, I don't want to do this. Maybe I'll get picked up and on the next aid station and stop, or how are you feeling?
No, I definitely have low moments, but always wanted to finish the race and was really motivated to do it and
Mm-hmm.
focused on that beforehand. So like there was a few reasons that I would let myself not finish the race. Um and each race was kind of different on why that would happen. Like an A race, which would be like my big peak race of the year, you know, I was going to only come out if it was like a huge emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Like some, you know, B or C races that almost like training races. Yeah, I'm not going to run on a broken ankle. in those types of races. And so kind of knowing beforehand what are my non-negotiables was helpful in keeping the motivation, because I kind of make that promise to myself and then finish.
Yeah. When you are setting up for these races, are you like, is your mindset going into them not really focused on placement or winning? Is it more focused on just like finishing it, or your reasons why? Because I, coming from a competitive background, like an athletic background, I competed in CrossFit and things like that. Like, I've always been so focused on like winning is the goal, winning is the goal. And I realized like towards the end of my training is like with CrossFit is like I was just miserable because I wasn't enjoying anything that I was doing at that point. Like, I've been in fitness all my life and now I was starting to hate it. And then I took a nice little break. And this Ironman that I'm doing is like my first time competing since then. But it's been extremely enjoyable because I am a strength athlete. You know, I'm not an aerobic athlete. And so I have no expectations. Like, my goal is just to go out and have fun. I'm racing my 4 younger siblings. So all 5 of us are doing it. And that has made it so much more enjoyable. And I'm really trying to just bring that mindset into like all of my future competitions, like doing it for the sake of doing it and enjoying it. So I'm
Hmm.
curious your mindset on that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I'm similar to you. I definitely would identify more as a strength athlete.
Mhm.
That's what I'm better at. And so I don't have a lot of pressure because I don't expect to win a race.
Mhm.
And but I do want to do well, and doing well for me is what I care most about. And so I'll kind of have an idea on the training block I'm going into, and then I'll make goals based on the race. And to get really nerdy about what I'll do is I'll download the GPX file of the course.
Mhm.
So I'll be able to see, the topography of the course and the altitude gain and descent, um, almost for every mile. And then I'll be able to see, okay, what can I hold in a zone 2 kind of pace and on similar terrain. And then you can put in factors like altitude. Like, I'm not sure, um, if that Pony Express is a lot higher in altitude than where you live, but that'll have a little bit of effect on um, your ability to use oxygen there.
Mhm.
And from that, just kind of decrease some time based on the effort. Like, your first mile running downhill is going to be different than your last mile running downhill. And so then I'll come up with some type of time range, and then that will be kind of the goal that I'll try and stick to. And for me, it's fun because I like, in a 50-mile race or any ultra distance race, I'll break it down into smaller segments. And so if I know that to get to the first aid station or get to my first crew or my first 5 miles or whatever it is, I'll have a lot of micro goals in that little section. And then a goal for the pit stop, and then a goal for the next station. And, depending on how much I'm struggling, those goals will just get shorter and shorter and shorter. And if I'm feeling good, they'll be longer.
I started listening to podcasts back in early 2016. And since then, I've listened to a lot of episodes and I've covered a lot of ground. And I always get asked, hey, what's your favorite show? What's your favorite episode? So I made a list. I made a list of the 10 most impactful episodes I've listened to over the 9+ years, and it's completely for free. You can find that in the description of this episode or on my Instagram in my bio. And I hope you find those episodes as enjoyable and impactful as I did, because they are in part a huge reason why you guys are listening to me right now. Thank you very much. Now back to the show. Yeah, but that's smart. I know something like when I started training for this Ironman, it's by far the longest training pieces I've had. Like, I've never had to do like 4 hours on the bike and then get off and do like a 2 hour run. And so once, if you're feeling kind of crappy and you're 1 hour in and you're thinking like, I got 6 more hours of this, it's just so demoralizing.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, can't do that.
so you just got to stay focused. Like, okay, well, I feel good. Let me go over that hill and then just take it one piece at a time. And then after, what you start to realize is if you've been doing it for a while, is that those low moments usually go away after a little while. You just got to push through them, and you can't think that they're always going to be there.
I think, say that again, because that's like a really important thing to focus on. And the longer the race, the longer those moments can kind of last. I mean, so, for 50 miler, maybe it takes you 12-ish hours, 12, 15 hours. I don't know, less or more, but a low moment could be 90 minutes, 2 hours. And that's a
Mm.
long time to kind of be in this, like, gosh, I don't want to be here. This is hard. But they always will pass. And so then you also have the aspect of it. And so it's cool to teach yourself to be able to push through stuff that's uncomfortable.
When did you learn you were good at a Turkish get up? Because
um,
it's not a common movement where people are like, let me max out my Turkish get up.
right. Yeah, totally. I liked a lot of puzzles. Like, you can maybe
Yeah.
even tell from the way I'm describing the running. For me,
Mm.
it's a fun puzzle. Try to put together all of these pieces and then see what I can do. And so Turkish Get Up is a fun puzzle. It's like you are moving through all these different ranges of motion. You need to keep your focus on obviously whatever you're lifting. Um, there's a lot of different factors that can come into play. And so I've always been someone that likes to play and likes to try different things in the gym. My background was in Olympic weightlifting.
Mhm.
And then, from there, I really learned how to have a good lockout. And so after that, I did a lot of hand balancing, some partner acrobatics, and then, I'll take some of the skills or strengths that I have and then see, okay, what are some movements that are fun for me? And um, I don't remember the first time I ever like maxed out Turkish get up. I think it was probably like a long time ago, maybe when I was doing more Olympic lifting, and I think I
Mhm.
did 155. Then that's like 12 years ago. Um, and then I started just playing around with it more.
Because you said your world record is 255, right? For the Turkish get up? That's crazy. That's so heavy. And it was with a full barbell, right?
Yeah, it was with that axle bar.
With an axle bar.
Mhm.
That's crazy. The heaviest I've ever done it that I've really tried is just with, I think it was like with a 125-pound dumbbell. And I couldn't imagine having the weight be so far off balance there.
Yeah,
Cause like with the dumbbell, it's just right there in your hand. And
right.
so balance isn't really a limiting factor there.
Mhm.
Uh, how did, what was a world record before that?
200 pounds.
You smashed it by like 25%. That's awesome. So yeah, what you said you did balance training, acrobatic training for that? What was that?
Yeah, not for the Turkish getup,
Oh,
but um, in like my training journey, kind of
mm,
like what I like to do, what I've liked to do, and I'd still enjoy that. But yeah, specifically for the Turkish getup, I saw like a year before I broke it, there was this guy who did a 177-pound dumbbell,
mhm,
and I was like, I knew a lot of people could beat that, and I was like, okay, I know I can beat that too. Let's see what the next jump is, what the next person does. And the guy did 200 pounds. And that was, just after I had done that lead challenge. And so I was kind of like, licking my wounds from all
mhm,
of that endurance stuff and trying to figure out what was next. And was like, let me try to get stronger. And I started doing a lot of odd object Turkish get ups, just like for fun. I called it Turkish Get Up Tuesdays on social.
mhm.
Would do like a rower, people. I did um, what's it called? Grocery cart, an assault bike. That one was pretty tough.
Yeah, I bet.
Just like a bunch of random stuff. And then I started thinking, okay, maybe let me try to see what my max weight could be and see if I could go after this 200-pound one. And that was like December of 2024.
What when they made you, or when you did the world record, did you choose to do an axle bar, or was that like prescribed by Guinness?
Yep, good question. So, I to do an official Guinness record, there's a few ways you can go about it. You have to apply for the record that you want to set, and if there's already a record for it, it's pretty simple because they've already made all of the guidelines and the rules that you have to do. And so for this one, it was already set. Um, you had to use a commercial item, so something that was commercially available. You couldn't use a person or make something like specific for yourself. And so I chose to use an axle bar over a barbell because at that weight, the barbell, it hurts your hand.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You're just like driving into your hand. And um, yeah, I kind of learned that. I was trying to do this really heavy one arm overhead squat. And once I figured out the axle bar, I was like, oh, I'm going to definitely use this for the get up as well. Um, but yeah, you could use a barbell. The guy who said it before me used a barbell.
Yeah, because when I saw, or when you said you did, when I saw you were doing it on your Instagram, I didn't see the bar was an axle bar, and that was the first thing that I thought is like, that's got to be brutal on the hand if it was like a straight barbell, just
Mhm.
digging into right in the thumb joint right there. So that was a smart play.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely, like, once it gets around that weight, like around 225, 250, it starts to just, it has to be perfect spot. And um, when you're lifting it up, you don't have the luxury of like placing your hand exactly where you want it. You
Mhm.
kind of have to catch in that right spot. And so too many adjustments is fatiguing and then makes it more difficult to do the lift.
Are you gonna attempt to break your own record, go heavier than that, or are you moving on to training for something else?
I don't think so. I mean, not right now, at
Yeah.
least. I'm gonna do the lead challenge next year, so I'm gonna double down back on my endurance, um, and go for that. There was a lift that I was, thinking about doing, and will probably do at some point, called two hands anyhow, which is a old time strongman lift, from back in like the circus artist days of the late
Mhm.
1800s, early 1900s. And these circus artists would and strongmen would travel from town to town to town and like kind of like compete with each other. And it was cool, like big event. It was like
Yeah.
they would go on stage, people would watch. It was I don't know. I romanticize that time period of lifting. And so this one lift was called, again, two hands anyhow, which is basically, you go into a gym today, you go into a CrossFit gym, and the workout is lift two separate weights any way you want from the ground overhead, locked out overhead. They can't be touching. What is the heaviest combined weight that you could do? And so you could do two dumbbells, you could do a dumbbell, a kettlebell, you could do literally anything you want. You just got to get really creative. So,
Mhm.
again, back to that puzzle problem solving thing I love. Um, the two hands, anyhow, for me, is a fun lift. And it was, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say both of them have to be overhead or just one of them? Okay.
Both, they have to finish overhead. They don't have
Okay.
to go up at the same time, but they have to finish overhead.
Okay.
So I'll ask you, what would you do if that was your workout?
So two overhead.
It could be more than two also. Like, you could lift up, you could like stack things into one hand if you wanted to.
Jeez. Um, I'm trying to think of a creative way. For me, I want to think of like dumbbells and kettlebells because they have like a low center. So I can like, because it has to be from ground, right?
Hmm.
And so I can kind of get them up and press or jerk them up. But I know that's not going to be the most efficient thing to do. I don't know. I'd have to think about it more and play around with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. I mean, a great goal for people is body weight total,
Okay.
which is, yeah, it's, if someone's like really strong, like I imagine you might be able to hold like 50% of your weight in each hand and like clean it up
Yeah.
on dumbbells and press it overhead. Um, I'll do a barbell. So I'll get one barbell, get that overhead, and then bend over, pick up a kettlebell, and then lift the kettlebell.
Okay. Okay. So with could you have both hands on the barbell and then transfer it to one hand and then down?
Definitely.
Okay. 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 So I was thinking I could only have one hand on each implement the whole time. Okay. So you would do something like you'd clean it or up and like press it up and then like transfer it over and then go down and pick that up.
Yeah, that's how
Okay.
I would do it. That's what I've done at first.
Okay.
Um, the record was set by this guy Arthur Saxon, um, and it's a little skeptical on the record depending on who you ask, because this was in 1905. He set this
Okay.
record, and it was in training, and it was, back in those days, people would kind of fudge the numbers a little bit because it was their livelihood, and
Mhm.
so it's, not a lot of checking. But he's obviously a very strong guy. I'm not hating on him. I believe he did it. Um, his record is 447 pounds.
That's so stupid. That's so heavy.
And he was 205 pounds body weight.
Oh my goodness.
So
What a
overdone,
stud.
crazy.
That is
Yeah.
insane. I okay. Well, for you, I mean, you already have the stability and the single arm strength from your Turkish get up training and obviously you don't have to go through the ground, because I imagine during the Turkish get up, like, was the hardest part that back on the ground and then like sitting it up to get into that position with that weight?
Getting to the elbow was definitely like a big accomplishment. Once I got to the
Mm,
elbow, I knew I could probably get over to my knee. And then the lunge was actually really tricky
mm,
because my shoulders are very stable, my core is really strong, but my legs they're strong, but not compared to those other aspects. And
mm,
so to do a dead stop lunge, like same arm, same leg with a weight overhead, that was hard for me. And so once I got up from the lunge, then I was pretty confident I'd be able to get back down. And I would actually train heavier weights on the eccentric to get really comfortable with that. So I'd hold 300 pounds was my best overhead, and then do the Turkish get down. And
nice.
because you had to control the weight all the way to the very end, pause for a second, and then drop it. You couldn't kind of just like flop down and drop
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, I imagine that'd be kind of that getting down and then going from that hand to that elbow, that nice little jerk from that position is probably pretty intense.
Yeah, it was fun tricks that you kind of learn if you practice. I mean, not a lot of people do it. So they there was no book I could read on how to do the heaviest Turkish get up. I just kind of figure out like it was a lot of rotation, honestly, like being able to like rotate, stop the rotation at the right time. When I got up to my elbow and then my hand, in order to get over to the knee, you kind of have to like coax the bar in that direction because it can't just pull 255 pounds over.
Hmm.
They don't want to coax it too much because then it will carry all the way off. So, um, all these small things that like, maybe Olympic weightlifter would think about, like, where the bar is, how the
Hmm.
bar up their first pull, their second pull, break it down. I would do the similar mindset with the get up.
Yeah, it's one of those movements where every small little movement matters. Like if you're out of position at all, like you fail the lift.
Yeah, and I mean that's similar with the two hands. Like at
Hmm.
first I was doing clean and jerks, but then over 300 pounds like starts to get fatiguing for me to do the whole thing because there's so much time under tension with that lift. Like you do a 315 clean and jerk, then you got to move your hand over. You got to
Mm,
get your hand in the right spot. And then you got to bend over, stay stable, pick up a kettlebell, come back up, keep stable, and then press it. It's like, it's a long lift, turns like 45 seconds a minute. Um, and so what I would do now is what's called a Steinborn squat, where you lift the
oh.
bar up vertical,
Hmm.
coming outside, squat it up. Now it's on your back. For me, it's easier jerk. And then I would, make the transition, bend over and lift up the weight.
That's smart. Yeah, the Steinberg squat would definitely help, and avoiding that clean, which would be fatiguing. And yeah, that's smart. And then yeah, exactly, jerking from behind the back. I'm also prefer that. So yeah.
Yeah. That was never that was never the issue. It was always getting the weight, like getting into the hand, um, and then finding the kettlebell because my best was 325 overhead, and then you're kind of kicking around with your foot to find the kettlebell, and then bending over and getting 75-pound kettlebell, and then cleaning that too was tough because I
Mhm.
not strong enough just to bicep curl 75 pounds. So you got to do like a clean while you're holding the weight overhead is kind of weird.
Jeez, that's fun. That's a fun lift. Do you ever feel like, for a lot of people, shoulder injuries? I know you said your shoulders are pretty strong and stable. Do you have no problems with your shoulders in that position, or what, do you do anything specific to keep them healthy?
Yeah, I definitely do. And I've never had any struggles in those positions. And people will see that lift and they'll be like, "That's so unsafe. Um, don't do that." And if you're thinking that, then you're right. Don't do that lift. It's unsafe for you. But knowing how to bail is the most important part. And so, um, it's just like someone who just walks into a CrossFit gym trying to do a snatch. It's probably not the best thing for them because they haven't developed their brain and their nervous system to be able to, articulate that movement properly and then how to get out of it. And so it's similar with everything. Like I've been thinking a lot about how the brain really works with the body when you're doing movements,
Mm.
especially downhill mountain biking. Like you're making so many decisions constantly that people that are flying by, it could look like that's not safe, but their brain's just a lot better at computing all of those things. And so it's the same thing with this lift. Like it's never out of control. Right? I know right away when the bar moves like a tiny bit of, and then I have a great way of getting out of the
Mm.
way. If I start to feel myself getting fatigued, I just drop the bar and then do it again. Um,
Well, and whenever you're at the end of whenever you're at the high end of competition, CrossFit athletes, strongmen, marathon runners, whatever that is, you've passed the realm of healthy and you're in the realm of competition. Like you're not doing that for your training. You're not doing that because you're like, oh, this would be a healthy thing for me to do. It's like, no, I'm competing. Like I want to get the record. I want to do this. And so like even, marathon runners, like the best in the world, like they're not healthy anymore. Like like they don't have enough lean muscle. Like into long age, they are setting themselves up for injury and things like that. And so, whenever you go to the end of competition, things aren't for health; they're for the sake of the competition.
Oh, yeah. I mean, running 100 miles, doing an
Exactly.
Ironman, a healthy thing to do. Like the training for that can be really healthy. It can really set you up in a good way of, organizing your life and getting clear on your values, and all of that stuff is motivating and great. But I would definitely not recommend, yeah, do 10 two hands anyhows every day for the rest of your life and you'll live to 100. Like one way to express the strength that you maybe already have. And if you know, allow yourself to like maybe enjoy that lift, then yeah, totally go for it. Like, but you're not practicing the skill to get better at the skill,
Mhm.
at least all the time.
For
And
sure.
that's what I do with the Turkish getup. Like, I wasn't just doing heavy Turkish getups every day. I've probably only done 15 or 20 Turkish getups over 200 pounds in my life. Um, but I would do aspects of the getup and just build overall strength. Because then the stronger my legs are, the stronger my shoulders are, the easier all that's going to be when I put it together.
Talk to me about the offense. What is that?
The offense, my mindset, performance coaching business. So we work with people who feel like they're operating at 60 to 80% of their perceived potential and want to get towards that 100%. And so they usually feel stuck, overwhelmed, um, maybe dealing with a little bit of anxiety or confusion on what is the best path for them. And we have a lot of, tools, exercises, frameworks to help them learn more about themselves and then take directed action towards a life that they're proud of.
I would say most, like 99% of people probably fall into that category of, feeling kind of stuck or feeling anxious or feeling like they're not super productive, spending time scrolling on Instagram and then feeling like they wasted the day or something like that. What are some things that you guys do to help them move past that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with you, right? A lot of people can benefit from coaching. It's hard to, it can be hard for people to want to do that because it's admitting that you're struggling with something.
Mhm.
But, I feel really fortunate to be in the position that I'm in because once people do sign up and do commit, they're so ready to make those changes that their life, like over a short amount of time, they kind of see, uncover there's certain blind spots or these shadow aspects that are stopping them, and then have practice taking action against them. And I'm sure you can relate to like once a light bulb goes in your off in your brain of, oh, I thought about something this way. Now I think about it this way. I'm never going to go back and do it. That's what happens. And, to answer your question, the biggest thing is like this is I think the secret to human flourishing, which is something that I study a lot, is aligning your values with your actions. And if you really know what your true values are, then it's easier to align them with the actions. And what happens a lot today is people will scroll, they'll compare, they'll live what I call a life of shoulds. Um,
Mhm.
should do this, I should do that, I should value this. And then it's not actually aligned with what they believe. And so they're lacking that personal integrity or that trust with themselves, which breaks down their self confidence. And then it's more difficult for them to take authentic action. And so they're always trying to chase, something that is external and then get
Mhm.
addicted to that, which
I th-
is tough.
I think most people though, and you're the one with the clients, so but I think most people would probably come to you and say, well, I don't really know what my values are. Like they haven't really sat down and thought about it.
Yeah.
How do you guide them to actually find what their values are so they can align towards that?
Okay, Chase, I'll give you one of my favorite values exercises is called deathbed values. So I'll have someone close their eyes and I'll have them think about their life on their deathbed.
Mhm.
And imagine you're laying on your deathbed and you're surrounded by your friends, your family, your grandkids, your great grandkids, and you're kind of looking over your life. You have a few minutes left before, you go wherever you believe that you go. And you from this moment hearing this podcast on, you've lived the perfect life. You have zero regrets. Take a moment and think about all of the different activities, the things that you were doing that elicited that feeling on your deathbed. So have people, think about it for a few minutes, write some things down, activities that they were doing, and then they might have 5, 15, 20 different things, right? Nothing is wrong, just kind of write it all out, and then we'll start to put those into buckets. We'll call those their activity buckets, their value buckets. Common ones are health and wellness. Any activity that was in health and wellness goes in that bucket. Quality time with friends and family, that's another bucket. um, People will get a few more. Mine are those two, plus business and the impact that it can have in the world, learning, so anything that involves learning, and then peak or flow experiences. So, like those moments when you're reviewing your life and are like, wow, like travel or staying on top of the
Mhm.
mountaintop or anything like that would be a peak experience. And so, those would be my activity values, which I would just call values instead of, like character traits, which are harder to track. It's harder to track how long or like what your level of courage is or what
Mhm.
your level of love is. But it's easy to track how you spend your time. And so then we'll go through and look at, okay, what are actions that you're doing outside of those buckets? How, on an average day, how much time are you spending outside of it? And, for a lot of folks, no one's saying a value for mine is watching more TV or scrolling on social media or whatever it is. And so I'll say, okay, how much time are you spending doing those things? And then often people will have between like 2 and 4 hours a day that they're spending doing things that they don't value. And if they're coming in saying that they're struggling with, confidence or self esteem, now I show them why. Like,
Mhm.
oh, well, duh, of course I'm not feeling that way because I'm not spending time doing things that I really value. Um, and then we start to eliminate those things before adding in more values. So we do elimination first.
Does that ever lead to kind of a degree uh, where people if feel like they can't ever relax or wind down, like if they're sitting on the couch and they're tired and they want to put on a movie and then they're like, oh, this doesn't fit into my values or this doesn't do anything, like does it ever lead to that at all? Because that's something I suffer from. Like I'll sit down and I can never just like be doing nothing without like beating myself up and being like, well, you're wasting time, you could be doing this and this and this.
So I would break it down like, what's the reason that you want to sit down on the couch? You're probably tired and you
Mm-hmm.
probably want to compress. And so if you're watching something, you're not decompressing. Your brain's still on. It's still focusing on the screen and whatever it is that you're doing. You might not physically be doing anything, but I would ask you, is that the best way to decompress? And if you tell me yes, it is, then I'll say, great, go for it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell anyone what their values are. But if maybe jumping in a sauna or doing some myofascial release or getting to bed a few hours early if you're always tired. Like, are those going to be better values for you? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, do you have the courage to do those things? And I can't tell you how many TVs I've had pulled off the wall, put into the closet, and then eventually just thrown out or given away.
Yeah.
Because, you know, another common one is I want to connect with my partner or my wife or whoever, and we love watching these shows together. And I'd say, great. you can keep watching the shows, but if the goal is to really connect, is that the time that you feel the most connected? Or would you feel more connected on a walk or, playing a sport together or whatever it could be?
Hmm.
And usually it's, yeah, it would. But we just get stuck in our routines, which is like the human condition. We kind of catch on to something, we want to repeat it. And it's not always bad, but just, always taking a little bit of time to reference, is this pointing me in the direction that I really want to go?
Do you have any habits or routines in your day to day that you've kind of developed over creating this mindset coaching program that have helped you, like such as like meditation or sauna or reading or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a sauna. I love saunas. It's a big investment to get a
Yeah,
sauna.
I just got mine. That's right behind me.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. So, I go into sauna every day. And so I couldn't imagine not having one. I mean, obviously we'd be able to do that, but it's a really great way to decompress, at the end of the day, or even in the middle of the day sometimes. But for me, a practice I really love is a gratitude practice. I
Mm,
study a lot of positive psychology, which is the science of human flourishing. And by far, one of the character traits that will increase your overall level of well being is gratitude, and like truly feeling grateful, not like a gratitude journal of grateful for the sun and my body and my health, but really thinking about like allowing yourself to feel grateful. And so, an actionable exercise that I like is called the 4 W's, where you write down what went well and why.
mm,
And why helps you take ownership over the positive things that are happening in your life. And we need a lot of reps thinking about those positive things, especially if we're scrolling or we're watching other things and judging ourselves. I think I heard this stat. It's like 17 negative things to one positive thing.
Geez.
Brains are wired to look for that threat.
Hmm.
Um, and so, you can manually change that, but it takes work. And the gratitude journal is a way to do that.
I started meditating like 2 months ago. Um, I use the Sam Harris like waking up app,
Mhm.
I think it's called. Um, and I did like the 28-day like welcome program that it starts you out with. So just like 28 days where you're doing it every morning or evening. And then after that, you can just do the dailies or do your own meditation after that point. And something that I've noticed that's really cool is it'll put you in and like you'll close your eyes and you'll start to like get focused on your breathing and your surroundings and the sounds and how you're sitting. And then it tells you to like think of a person that you like care for about or that you, and then like notice the change that you feel. And then it asks you to like really kind of like think about like how grateful you are for them. And it's crazy how easily you can manufacture that feeling of gratitude out of like thin air and then like carry it with you and how
Mhm.
much better you feel after.
Yeah, you're right. It takes that time, and you're sitting down listening to that app. It's like you're spending 20 minutes, 30 minutes doing that. And it sounds like it's really positively impacting you, which is awesome. But that is not always the easiest thing, even though it is easy, you know?
Yeah.
It's like going to do a workout. Like it's not always the hardest thing. It's just hard to get going and go do that thing. And I'm sure you'll never regret a Sam Harris meditation, just like you never
Mm-hmm.
regret a workout or never regret eating a healthy meal. And so getting started is like the biggest hurdle.
Michael Smoke, he always says it. He's like, it's simple. It's just not easy.
Hmm. Yeah,
Like
100%.
it really is. It's simple. It's just not easy. You just gotta conquer that inner mind, that inner voice that says, "Hey, you're better if you sit on the couch and do nothing."
Yeah, and setting up your environment is so important too.
Mm-hmm.
That was like your physical environment, and also the people that you surround yourself with. And so, if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I spend a lot of time watching TV and I don't want to spend as much, we need to put friction into your life. And so, like, I'm not saying I don't watch any TV. I mean, I actually don't watch any TV, but I'll watch shows or I'll watch specific movies more often. I don't even watch shows, but I watch movies,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a projector. And so when I want to watch a movie, it's an event. I'm like consciously choosing to do that versus after dinner, just sitting down on the couch, grabbing the remote and like trying to find what's on. Um,
Yeah, that's
it makes it more
from a
enjoyable.
James Clear, Atomic Habits. Easiest way to make a habit is to reduce friction. The easiest way to break a habit is to increase friction,
Mhm.
and to just make it
100%.
a little bit harder, a little bit easier, and you kind of flow to it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Well, so the next challenge for you is going to be, you're going to double down on the Leadman.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see that. Are those things that are streamed? Like, can people watch those races?
This year they did stream the 100-mile bike race.
That's
I
cool.
don't know if they're gonna do the run. It's a kind of a long thing to stream, but
I was going to say,
yeah. Um, but the bike was pretty crazy. I was coming into one of the aid stations, and there's this like huge screen, and the bunch of the pros are going on it. So yeah, I think there's something that you can watch. It's probably not the most fun thing to watch, but for
I
some
don't
of
know.
it's
It doesn't necessarily need to be like on 24/7. If they do stream it, it could be like 2-hour check-ins or whatever, or it's like showing what's going on. That, I think that'd be cool. Well, where can people get more of you, Mike? Where can they find your coaching and follow along and see what you're doing?
Yes, I mean, you can reach out to me at my website, theoffense.co, or Instagram. You can definitely DM me, mike.idella. And yeah, I'm happy to chat with anyone. So if you have a question about coaching or about training or about whatever, I know it can feel uncomfortable sometimes to just like ask the question, but that is oftentimes the first step towards making positive change in your life. So um, I encourage you to ask me if you resonate with me, but or ask someone else you've listened to on podcasts. Like people, especially coaches, they really want to help. And so the way that they can help is if you allow them to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think getting somebody like in your position, like a mindset coach, is going to be the biggest bang for your buck, because like that affects everything, like everything.
And that's why I got into it. I mean, I used
Yeah,
to do strength and conditioning, and it's fun getting people bigger, faster, stronger. But we're really understanding yourself and your mind. You're right; it affects your finances, your relationships, your health. Like, there's nothing that it doesn't affect, and so I love it.
yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate, I was glad we were able to do this. I'm actually located in Denver as well. Eric invited me over to, what is it, Arsenal? What his
Yeah, our gym, yeah,
he said he's usually there in the morning.
I am.
He's like, start rolling over. So some of these days when I got some free time, I'm gonna start rolling over there, because it looks like a sweet crew and a good gym. So.
Oh yeah, no, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, we got to get you on a mountain bike too.
Dude,
Um,
for real. I am ready to ditch this stupid tri bike and get on a mountain bike. That
have you ever?
sounds way more fun. I've been mountain biking one time. It was in up in the mountains in Utah. It was a blast. I had reckless abandonment because I haven't fallen. So I'm sure as soon as I wipe out, that'll go right out the window.
Yeah, I mean, there's all different types of mountain biking. Like take the lift up, downhill, down. I like to do a lot of cross country. Eric likes to do a lot of cross country. I imagine you would like that because you have your fit, so you get to like work for it a little bit, and then you
Mm,
kind of find some cool flow. It's kind of like it really feels like a video game that the fitter you are and the more skill you have, like the better at the game you become.
yeah, I believe that. I think it was a quote from Robin Williams. He's like, cycling is the closest we get to flying. Um, just like when you are going downhill and you have that speed and you have those like little corrections, that it feels awesome. It's one of the most fun things ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's immediate flow state where
Yeah.
the skill that you have meets the challenge in front of you. And there's so many opportunities for that. And I mean, I definitely think more in mountain biking than road biking, but you can find them in a lot of different things.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to get on one. We'll definitely have to do that. Once this Ironman's done, I'm getting rid of this. I'll get a mountain bike. I just got to get closer over to the
Yeah.
mountains. Sweet, dude. Well, I have a tradition where I end the podcast and I ask the guest, who would be the person, if they had a podcast, that they would be most interested in speaking to. And then I'll do my best to get them on, assuming that they're alive and well. And of course, credit them being here with you, put me on to them. So who would that person be for you?
Okay, my first thought was someone who's not alive. It would be my grandfather. But my second, someone to have on the podcast, maybe my buddy Matthew Bickle.
Matthew Bickle.
He has a really cool story. He used to be 500 pounds. He's training for Leadville 100. So he's at like 500 to 100 story. He trains at Arsenal as well. And he's got a big heart and a lot of awesome stories. So he'd be a great guy I'd have on your podcast.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll definitely try to reach out to him. That's amazing. Going from 500 down to the level 100. That's impressive.
Yeah, he's working hard. So it would be fun training. Come out and join us, man. You're in Denver. So
I know.
We'll get you out the Leadville races too.
Yes, please, dude. We'll make it happen. Well, again, thank you so much for your time today, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Chase.
Thank you for listening to the Chase Merrill podcast.